Greetings, everybody. I hope that you are all having a wonderful day. If you're new to this channel, my name is Tyler Adolfo. I'm 28 years old. A little bit about me is, well, first things first is that my cat is already meowing to get back into my room. On the stream we had yesterday, I had to get up probably 4 or 5 times to let him out, let him back in. And that's what I got to go do right now, real quick. So I will be right back. Thank you very much for your patience. Maybe fairly soon we will get a Smokey the Cat cameo because he does hop up on this table a lot, the table that I have my laptop on. And I think y'all would appreciate it. He's an adorable cat. He's very old, but I would say he's rather healthy for his age. There's a lot that's been on my mind, but before I transition into that, I just want to give it a little bit of time and let some people trickle in here. Let me get a comment on the chat. If you're joining me in the VOD later on, I did set up this stream so that there's live chat replay. So I'd appreciate it if you let me know if that actually is working for you. If it's not, I'll try to fix that for the next time. Let's see. A2. On your mind. It is Free Flow Friday. I believe this is the 7th live stream. The 7th live stream of what I've so eloquently called Tyler Talks. The reason I went with that title, I guess, is just because it's particularly broad and I want to make sure that I have wiggle room to talk about a wide array of topics. And plus, it's just the play on the tongue, like Tyler Talks. It's simple. It's something that might be captivating the attention of people. I'm not too entirely sure. I'm sure people will trickle in here pretty soon. It looks like we do have one viewer. Thank you for joining. Feel free to comment absolutely anything on your mind, and I will respond. If you have any questions, I will answer. There's a lot that I want to talk about today, whether it be just like what's been on my mind, talking about the ideas of depression and anxiety, my journey with bipolar disorder, where I was versus where I am now, returning to school after being away for so many years and the challenges that come with that, talking about being a YouTube creator and the type of adversity you can encounter as a creator. I would certainly encourage anyone out there to become a creator themselves, no matter what genre they would be in. It's an extremely fun experience. It's very enjoyable, and I would highly recommend it to anybody. Looks like we got a few people joining in. Thank you for tuning in. If there's anything on your mind, feel free to put it down below. Appreciate you being here. Absolutely anything is on the table in this live stream. Now that looks like we got 2 people in here now. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but I suppose I'll get into the first thing I wanted to talk about, and kind of just wanted to open up with a conversation about what's been on my mind. And if you're so willing, you're welcome to talk about what's been on your mind. So there's actually something rather aggravating that's been going on in my life these past few weeks. I haven't brought this up in the last live stream, but I want to talk about it now and bring attention to it. So I'm sure other people have encountered this type of problem before. I hope not many people have, because it's very unfortunate to have as a problem. That is, 2 of my 4 medications Vraylar and Lexapro have not been refilled for what is it, the 13th? Yeah, 13th, for 13 days. Now, I finally was able to go to the pharmacy and get my Vraylar today, which is the antipsychotic, but my psychiatrist still hasn't renewed the Lexapro, which is for my social anxiety. And I just can't help but think, what's going on? What level of, I don't want to be harsh here, but like what comes to mind to me is like when I'm trying to brainstorm the possible reasons as to why it is that these have not been renewed. Like the first thing that comes to mind is incompetence. Like I've called the office, I've left messages with the medical line, I've called and requested to speak with my psychiatrist directly and was just redirected to the medical line. The medical line has not contacted me back yet. And it's frustrating because I know firsthand from experience that going off a drug cold turkey can have extremely detrimental effects on your well-being, on your mental psychology. I went off Zoloft cold turkey going into my junior year of high school, and it wasn't a picnic, that's for sure. And I'm worried about the possible effects this will have. I feel like I'm already having some effects, and I'll tell you about those. Number one is I just feel like these past few days in particular, like I've gotten a massive headache throughout the day, and it's just intensifying. It's only exacerbating and getting even worse. And at this point, I don't know what to do. I mean, it's great that I have the Raylar back in my system, but even once the Lexapro is refilled, and I get it, this isn't a problem that I want to have to endure and go through every single month, because it's absolutely inexcusable from my psychiatrist to not be renewing these medications that my central command center have become so dependent on. There really is just no excuse at all. So I'm not sure if anybody else has had that experience, but I'm sure plenty of people have, and it's unfortunate. Part of me wants to research what are the effects of suddenly stopping Lexapro? What are the effects of suddenly stopping Vraylar? But then another part of me is saying, what benefit, if any at all, would that serve, except for making you more worried, making you more aggravated? It doesn't advance the solution to the problem. I don't have my next psychiatrist appointment till March. I believe it's like March 10th. So, praying here that my psychiatrist or the medical line will get back to me before then. But one of the things I'm brainstorming, and this might sound crazy, but I'm considering stopping taking the Lexapro, because this isn't the first time this has happened through this particular hospital where my medications haven't been refilled prudently, like on time, expeditiously. And I don't want to go through this cycle every month where usually it's just 1 or 2 days where I don't have it refilled. And even that is still detrimental to your health. But to go 13 days in a row without the medication you have become so accustomed to taking, now that's especially detrimental. And so I just am considering just not going back on the Lexapro and just to see where things go from there. But then on the other hand, I do worry about what degree, if any at all, this medication benefits me and bolsters my self-esteem, because it is for like alleviating social anxiety, which I have had a great deal of throughout my life. And what I'm about to say is going to sound crazy, but it's true. Anxiety is like the least of my concerns these days as far as mental health goes. That's a terrible and tragic thing to have to say, but I'm much more concerned about, the prospect of going back into mania or falling into another deep depression in the deep abyss of despair. There's a lot that can go wrong with being off a medication, though, and I'm just very worried about it. I've had these few years of predominantly being stable on this medication regimen, and to encounter the inconsistency on my doctor's part lately, it's beyond frustrating. I don't want to lose that stability. Stability feels great. Being able to, pick up my hobbies again and read books, being able to get back outdoors and walk and get some steps in to expedite my weight loss. There's just a plethora of positives that have come from being stable. I'm able to get out of bed, and it's. Oh, we finally got a comment here. Damien, welcome, Damien. I don't know the precise reason why you aren't able to have the refilled. Even if I run out of refills, my psych will write a prescription that day. If it's an authorization issue, same thing. Yeah, I've had the authorization issue in the past too. I don't know if that's what this is, but it hasn't been a problem in the past, so I don't see why that would be problematic now. What I do know is that it's just it's scary to me. And like the curiosity part of my persona wants to look up what are the consequences of stopping Lexapro cold turkey. But I know that overall that it would be a net negative to my health if I were to do that. Thank you for chiming in on that, Damien. And I'm glad that you have a psych who's prudent and on top of things. That's very important when it comes to mental health. It's important really with any health issue. I mean, if a diabetic suddenly goes off a medication, it could literally kill them. They could die because of it. Like, it's serious. And although I don't think that's the case with me stopping Lexapro suddenly, I'm sure there's a large host of problems that aren't exactly desirable, even if death isn't one of them, So yeah, that's what's been going on with me, is really just the medication refill issue. I'm not sure why I'm wearing a dress shirt, to be honest. I figured that if I dressed up, then, because when people are looking for a live stream to watch, they do see like a still image of what's going on in that live stream, and if they see a dude in a suit, they must certainly think like, oh wow, this dude must have something very wise and incredibly intelligent to say. But it's not particularly comfy. I don't know why I'm sweating either. Like, I'm actually sweating. It's very cold out here in Massachusetts. There's no reason I should be sweating. It's interesting to me how few people actually have bipolar disorder. And at some future period, I'm going to do some research on what the percentage distributions are for other mental illnesses. So like schizophrenia, schizoaffective. I like to learn what percent of people suffer from these illnesses. And the reason I want to learn that is because I just find it intriguing. It helps me put in context, get a better perspective of how many people actually know these problems firsthand and experience these problems on a firsthand basis, as opposed to hearing them through the standpoints of others or experiences of others. But the percentage for bipolar disorder, I've seen a few different numbers produced based on the study. But the one statistic I've seen most commonly cited is about 2.8% of people suffer from bipolar disorder. 2.8%. So, we could round up, and 3 out of 100 people have bipolar. I'm not sure if that's including like if it's like diagnosed people only, or if it's like diagnosed and an estimate of the undiagnosed who also have a high probability of having it. That's what I'm not sure about. But regardless, that's an incredibly low statistic. Thankfully, medication has been able to have a very positive impact on my life. Medication transformed my life. It saved my life numerous times in my life. I'm saying the word life a lot, aren't I? Usually there's a button you could hit on here that shows you how many people total have tuned in so far versus how many are tuned in at the moment. But all I can see is how many are tuned in at the moment. Oh, there we go. got it. There's a little green dot that says excellent next to it. That must be good, right? Prior to medication, being off, not taking any medication, that's when my manic episode happened during my junior year of university. 6 month long manic episode, full blown. And I've talked to some people about this, and from what I've heard, it's actually quite uncommon to hear about a manic episode that persists for that long. Now, with bipolar 1, manic episodes are generally much longer than manic episodes that people with bipolar 2 experience, but they're both serious illnesses. But even 6 months, it's even a long time for people with bipolar 1. So I'm definitely on the, upper echelon of lengthy episodes that have been experienced by people. It's amazing, astonishing to me that I survived it. I do wish that health professionals would have been more proactive in getting me on medications, getting me in front of a doctor at the beginning of my manic episode. Because 1 month into my manic episode, I was hospitalized and saw medical professionals for 5 days. And the psych ward just made my mania worse. And I'm not trying to bash psych wards. I understand they help a lot of people. I'm not saying people shouldn't go to the psych ward if they need to go to the psych ward. I'm just saying that in my experience in the psych ward, it was very detrimental to my health. It exacerbated my symptoms. I wasn't put on any long-term medication plan, and I was released back into the community without any program of action for how to get me stable. The hospital note from the day they released me said, Tyler's symptoms or something like that have showed significant improvement. And I just think to myself and read that, like, really? I mean, the day before I know for a fact I was super delusional in group, and you're telling me that the very next day that I was just like totally ready to go and depart and be back on my way. I suspect it's probably an issue that has to do with money or insurance. And if that is the case, I can't prove it. But if that is the case, that is tragic. That is sad. I mean, I live in the United States. I'm not sure where you're from, Damien, but I live in Massachusetts and US. And I mean, the US is the wealthiest nation in in human history. We're the wealthiest country in the world, and it's not a lot to ask for to have a strong system in place with bountiful resources and assistance available for people who are in need of assistance. So that's kind of what my experience was off any medications at all. I suffered that 6 month long manic episode. I posted nonsensical things across my social media platforms. Damien says, California, my man. Okay, you're from Cali. Nice. Much more comfortable weather out there. I know some people actually prefer the cold, but I went to Orlando once, and I actually enjoyed how hot it was and being able to get sunlight every day. Sunlight is highly beneficial to health. And I wish I could go back to Florida. Maybe someday I will. Or even Cali. I'd like to check out Cali. It's intriguing to me how many states there are that I haven't been to, right? I mean, I've been to New Hampshire. I've been to Massachusetts, obviously. I live here. I was born here. I've been to Florida, and I'm pretty sure that's it. I haven't been anywhere else. Whereas, if you want to do a comparison, people in Europe, I mean, because of the close proximity of a lot of these countries, it's not uncommon to hear about a European who's been to 5 countries, in their early 20s. A 23-year-old European might have been to 5 countries, and it wouldn't be surprising to anybody there because the countries are in close enough proximity to make that kind of thing likely. I would love to explore the world and travel the world, learn more about different cultures. It's just not in my deck of cards right now. I don't have the finances. not in the right place mentally either. I want to make sure that I'm stable and can become grounded first. I want to not be complacent. I want to be consistently content with my circumstances. And it's easier said than done. Eventually, of course, I was put on medications towards the end of my manic episode. I attended a partial hospitalization program. And early on in that program, the presiding psychiatrist there put me on a medication called Abilify. And it worked incredibly well, like that. I can't say exactly how quickly it worked, but it worked quickly. Within days, I was pulled out of the depths of mania. I was no longer, you know, crazy out of my mind, but I was still manic to an extent. While I was in that PHP, a big part of the PHP program is group therapy. And I routinely throughout group expressed delusional thoughts. And throughout the different activities and my participation, I truly embarrassed myself. But at least in that type of environment, people are more understanding and empathetic because they're going through issues or challenges of their own. And those type of people, in my experience, have a higher degree of emotional intelligence than the average person who hasn't had to be hospitalized for depression or mental illnesses. So that was the first medication I was on, and I believe the reason I was eventually taken off was probably just weight gain. One of the hospital notes medical notes I have from 2022, is my psychiatrist was concerned about how quickly I was putting on weight. And it was interesting coming from her, considering she's the one putting me on these medications that have weight gain as a side effect. And all these medications, they would have like light to moderate weight gain as the listed side effect. If that were true, I mean, it certainly wasn't true in my case. I'm sure it varies on a person to person basis. But in my case, I went from 180 pounds to 354. It was approximately mid to late 2023 that I weighed 354 pounds. And I do attribute a lot of that to the medications that I was on. If it weren't for those medications I was on, I wouldn't have put on that amount of weight. But I also would have likely never have left that state of mania. I would have still been in an incredibly manic state, and that wouldn't have been a positive for me either. So overall, I think the pros of medication outweigh the negatives for me. Might be different for other people, but for me, based on what I've read about bipolar disorder and this condition being permanent, something I'll live with for the rest of my life, medications seem to increase positive outcomes for people with bipolar. Medication seems to increase the likelihood of success and finding stability in life. And everybody aspires to that, whether they say it or not, whether they will admit it or not. Yeah, the medications I'm on now, I'm on Wellbutrin, a very high dosage of it, by the way. I believe my psychiatrist said that the limit on what most psychiatrists are willing to prescribe for Wellbutrin is like 450 milligrams. However, I'm on 600, and that poses a increased risk of stroke or a seizure or something. And I remember having this conversation when I was at the PHP very recently. I was at the partial hospital program again for the third time in my life in December of last year. And the presiding psychiatrist there, asked if I have any concerns about that. And a very tragic thing I had to say, kind of like how I said, anxiety is not my highest priority right now. This is another example. I essentially said, I'd rather be sane. I'd rather have my sanity. And I guess if having possibly having a stroke or seizure is one of the risks that comes with this medication that's working so well for me, then so be it. And she thought it was an interesting comment and position to take on that medication. So I am on a much higher dosage than the average person, but it works so incredibly well for me. Other medications I'm on, lamotrigine. That's one that I've been on for an extremely long time. Just a mood stabilizer. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I am diligent in taking all my medication. It's hard for me to answer when people ask me, how do you feel on this medication versus that medication? Because since 2022, I've been on multiple medications at a time, and there's no way for me to control for those variables. If you're on 4 medications at once, all started within a close proximity of time, it's hard to distinguish which side effects came from which drug. It's hard to derive which benefits came from which drug. So it's really tough to answer that question. And then, of course, the other 2 that I mentioned I'm on are Vraylar, the antipsychotic, and Lexapro, which I'm considering stopping it. Lexapro is, I don't know. I mean, I have had anxiety my entire life, and it is for social anxiety. But I feel like worst case scenario is I go off it and come to learn that I do in fact need a social anxiety medication still, and I have plenty of time before I return to school next fall to where I could get back on another social anxiety pill comfortably. A very effective one I was on in the past was Zoloft, and I remember being on a high dosage of that because it worked so well for me. That drug made me feel like I was on top of the world. I felt so confident. I feel like I had no side effects with it, which is insane. I actually lost weight while on Zoloft and got into one of the best shapes of my life. I can't remember anything really negative about it, but I have had psychiatrists tell me since that Zoloft comes with an increased risk of mania. And the last thing I want to do is trigger another manic episode. I'm on Pomate. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but it's an old antidepressant with a lot of risks, but I'd rather have those risks than disabling depression. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you, my friend. It's an opportunity cost issue. What's the cost of taking no medication? It's a pretty severe cost for a lot of people. It's certainly a big cost for myself. I've had many consequences when I'm off medication. And what's the cost of being on medication? Well, you have increased risks of certain things, like maybe increased risk of putting on or worse metabolism, uh, worse appetite, that sort of thing. And other things. Some people report that they feel like lethargic on medications. They just can't direct their focus to anything. And I'm grateful that I haven't had that issue because I don't know how I would ever focus on schoolwork if that was the case for me. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, Damien, but I hope it works well for you. And I agree with your perspective. That's exactly the way that I kind of look at my medications too. So that kind of encapsulates the medication journey I went on. I didn't go through all the medications I took. I kind of just mentioned Abilify and then went directly to the ones I'm taking now. I guess one final one I'll mention is lithium. My former psychiatrist said that lithium is the gold standard for bipolar disorder. Well, it certainly wasn't for me. I understand that it works wonders for so many people who suffer from bipolar, but it just wasn't the right one for me. And the inconvenience of having to go for blood work so regularly, especially during a period of time when I was depressed out of my mind in the aftermath of that manic episode with psychosis, it just wasn't the right drug for me at the right time. It might work today, I don't know, but I wouldn't want to jeopardize my current health and level of stability that I have now. The medication regimen I'm now is rather strong, and I think it's the right fit for myself. It's for drugs, but you do what you got to do to stay stable. And just like you said, a lot of risks, but I'd rather have those risks than disabling depression. When your depression is so high that you can't even get out of bed, or you can't even take care of basic, hygiene, or you don't get any enjoyment out of things you previously did, you have the inability to experience pleasure, also known as anhedonia. There's so many negative effects of being depressed. I'm glad it's working for you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. I will say it does work better when I have them all refilled, but okay, I'll stop with that now. Enough casting shade on my doctor, but I'm sure you can understand my frustration and why I would be a little aggravated about that. So I figured I would come on here and vent. And even though there's only 2 people here right now, I don't know, I kind of prefer it that way. I wouldn't want to tell, 50 people that, I'm angry at my psychiatrist right now, but it feels good to get it off my chest to you two. It doesn't let me see who it is that's like viewing. The other person isn't commenting, but that's okay. I appreciate you being here either way. I'm sure there is a way to see who's like actually here without looking at the comments. I'll have to learn that. I'll have to watch a video on like the different features available on YouTube live streams. I do think I figured out how to screen share now, but the only thing I'm not certain of is if I do that, would I still have my face cam on? I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that. If I screen share, will the box of me here still be there appearing somewhere? Because I do have a new series idea that I'm currently doing on my channel. I put up the first video of it today, and it's an unfiltered, unedited rant that I had filmed while I was in a manic state with psychosis. And that video is performing pretty well right now relative to my recent ones, which haven't been performing that great. But what I want to do with this series is show what it looks like to see someone suffering with bipolar disorder, all the side effects that they experience, the wide array of problems that present themselves. Dude, if I miss my meds for one day, I feel genuinely insane. Me and my mom. Yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense to me. I'm not sure exactly. I can't pinpoint where precisely or when precisely that I started to like get this headache that I have right now. Or I kind of feel like on edge, like under a lot of pressure. But being off for 13 days, it's definitely intensified the last few days. And I'm kind of getting the urge to look up right now. What are the consequences of suddenly stopping Lexapro? I'm not sure. If you're just joining in, my name is Tyler. Appreciate you being here. This is Free Flow Friday, the very first edition of me doing Free Flow Friday, where absolutely anything is on the table. I am a mental health content creator. I have bipolar type 1 disorder, and it's not a part of, it doesn't define me, but it is part of me. It's significantly affected my life in many ways, and greatly appreciate you being here. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do on this channel. So we're at 3 viewers now. What should we talk about next? Feel free to ask absolutely anything. If you have any particular topics in mind, put them down in the comment section. Let's keep it rolling, y'all. Yeah, Damien, I can relate. It's very aggravating not having access to meds that we've become dependent on. But it sounds like to me, based on what you said, you haven't had too much issue with having your doctor like refill them in a timely manner, and I'm happy for you for that. that that's the case. I wish I could say the same for myself, but it's not like that right now. A big problem I faced when coming out of mania, it wasn't just the shock, it wasn't just the fear of going back into that state, it wasn't just the embarrassment, the shame, the guilt. It was also loneliness. And I'm saying that as someone who's highly introverted. Just because you're introverted, it doesn't mean that you want to completely absolve yourself from social connections. The psychologist James Van Fleet says that two of the basic human desires are sense of belonging and peer approval. And so when I came out of that manic episode and I lost all my friendships, I got expelled by my fraternity, I got expelled by my college, I got arrested and sent to jail for 5 days. Yeah, it totally changed my social life. And I went back home and I spent years in isolation for the most part. Hey, Cat Lily, welcome. I do worse if I miss my meds for one day also. Yeah, I'm not sure if I felt any different like one day after, but I will say at the very least, it's not something I want to make a habit of. For those who are just joining in, I've been off two of my medications for 13 days. Well, one of them I just got back on today, Raylar. But I've been off two of them for 13 days because my doctor has not refilled them. And my efforts to contact my doctor have not worked. They failed. And so here I am going 13 days in a row, cold turkey off of Lexapro. And I've said this a few times this stream already, but I'm ambivalent about whether I should research what are the effects of stopping Lexapro cold turkey. But another part of me, the part of me that's opposed to that, thinks, like, is this an appropriate use of my time? Would this be a healthy action to take? I definitely, if you have any thoughts or perspective on that, I'd love to hear it. Anyone in chat, or anyone tuning in here. Oh, we got 4 viewers now. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. I plan on doing a rather long stream. I'll probably stream, the amount of time I stream today will depend on how many people are actually in here. If it like dies down later and it's just not like anyone here, then I'll probably just end it. But usually there's like 4 to 6 people who are in here and chatting, which definitely helps make this process much more enjoyable, much easier. All right, I'm going to real quickly just check how my latest video is performing. I was very cautious about uploading this one, and I'm actually currently running an A/B test on it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is, but let me see here. An A/B test is where it's a relatively new feature on YouTube for creators. You put 3 titles for your video, and YouTube for 2 weeks will evaluate the statistics of those 3 titles and determine which one draws in a higher percentage of viewers. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, you pick the title that, well, you should pick the one that performed best, but you could, of course, pick whichever one you want. I've run this test once before and thought it was helpful. Pretty cool feature. So in case you've seen my latest video and the title changing, it's not me changing it. It's doing that itself because of the A/B test. So you'll see 3 different titles. Like if you check the video out on your phone versus your computer versus your tablet or Kindle or what have you, or your TV, it's going to show a different title every time. But the titles are, for the most part, the same. Like the title I see right now, and this is part of my new series, An Unfiltered Manic Rant, Bipolar Disorder Unedited. And then the thumbnail says Bipolar Manic Episode Raw Footage. I've done some videos in the past where I've reacted to and given my perspective on videos I had filmed while manic. But I've only done that for 2 or 3 of the videos that I made while manic. For context, when I was manic, I made over 30 plus videos, and I have them all privated on my channel because they're highly embarrassing. But I recently thought to myself, like those videos of me reacting to these manic videos performed very well. People found them to be insightful and helpful. And I just feel like there's a benefit to be gained by seeing what it's like to suffer from bipolar disorder. What does a bipolar patient actually look like when in a manic state? And of course, the answer varies person to person, but a lot of people are curious and wonder that, and it's a pretty searchable topic as well. So I'm thinking of doing a series depending on how well this does. Basically, what I did was I downloaded this 40-minute rant that I had filmed while manic, and then I just uploaded it. So there is no intro where I say, hey, just to clarify, this isn't me today. This is me from a few years ago. I did say that in the description and in the comment section. So hopefully people read that. But if not, they'll think I'm absolutely out of my mind. But yeah, I talk about, like in this video, I talk about war, politics, the Roman Empire, civil war coming to the US, religion, former presidents, and it's just totally all over the place. No thought connects to the next thought. Oh, we get some more comments. I don't know if I read that one. Okay, Lily says, dang, oh no, I haven't read that one yet. Okay. Yeah, it does. And I think you're referring to when I said I was been off my medication for about 2 weeks. Yeah, it is very frustrating. I can go cold turkey off of Lexapro, but some people have a horrible time. It just depends on the person. Yeah, I get that. It is going to vary person to person. I'm wondering like how many people actually have to go through this. I wonder, is this a common thing for people with mental illnesses where their doctors, for whatever reason, will just suddenly stop prescribing something without telling them? And I mean, is it a procedural thing or what? But I've worked diligently to try and contact my psychiatrist, and the efforts have failed. Like, I just don't know what else to do. And I don't have my next appointment with her till March. I believe it's March 10th. But that does make me alleviate some of my anxiety. So thank you for sharing that, Callie. You said that you go cold turkey off Lexapro, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems like you're suggesting that like it wasn't the worst thing. Yeah, I'm worried that how I'll react to it, but I don't feel the greatest. I have had a headache for a while that's intensified the last few days. And I'm not sure if that was because of the Raylar stopping or because of the Lexapro stopping or because of both of them stopping at the same time. But at the very least, I'm grateful I'm back on the Raylar today. Oh, Damien, you said with so much confidence, every U.S. politician uses cocaine at minimum. I was dying. Okay, so I've watched the video in full before, but it's been a few years now. I did not watch the video when I uploaded. Did I actually say that, Dave? I appreciate you watching it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on it are. Like, did you find it interesting? Did it like keep your attention? I feel like it's a good case study. And I mentioned in the description that like I hope medical professionals find this useful, in particular, like medical students, those sort of people. Every U.S. politician uses cocaine at minimum. I might have to clip that into a short and then I'll link to the main video because that might get people's curiosity spiked up. Man, that is an all-timer quote right there. I'm actually going to check that video now, see where it is at. It is at 30 views, which is about the same I would usually get after. How long has it been up, actually? It's been up for 6 hours and 17 minutes. It's got 5 watch hours, which is one more than usual in this amount of time. This is what confuses me, though. So there's a section in the video analytics that's called reach, and there's impressions, click-through rate, and views. The more impressions you have, it just means the algorithm is promoting your video more. And how many impressions you get is usually based on your impressions click-through rate, the percentage of people who click the video when they're shown it in the algorithm. Now, my average click-through rate is pretty low from what I've researched compared to other channels. It's usually in the range of like 2 to 3.5%. A comfortable like average range would be like 5% or above, and anything above 10% is considered really exceptional. Like for 10% of viewers to click your video instead of all the other options that are located next to them, that's pretty significant. And my click-through rate for this video right now is 11.7%. So I think this video has quite a bit of promise. I just need the algorithm to show it to more people, and hopefully it will. But right now it's currently at 163 impressions, and usually my videos would be at about 500 in this amount of time. But sometimes it takes the algorithm a little bit of time to figure out who the video's for and which audience they should send it to, and I get that. So the average watch time on it is also pretty high. I'll return in just a second. I just want to check the breakdown for the analytics. So 56% of the watch time for this video so far has come from non-subscribers, and 44% has come from subscribers. All right, so that's that. Okay. I just want to take a look at that. I'm a little bit too addicted to the YouTube analytics. It's just cool to look at all the data and numbers they give you. All right, so Damien, I'll start off with a comment you said that made me laugh. So much confidence. Every U.S. politician uses cocaine at minimum. I was dying. Yeah, that triggered a laugh in me too. I can see why. It's a great example of manic thought patterns. Yeah, it's interesting. I probably said a lot of things in that video that were even more like out of pocket than that. It wouldn't surprise me, but I mean, that is an all-timer right there. And you're right. It is a prime example of manic thought patterns. Cat Lily, your psychiatrist better have a good reason for not giving you your meds. Are they part of a practice? Another psychiatrist in the practice should be able to prescribe you medicine. So it's part of like a hospital network. It used to be called Harrington Hospital and Harrington Behavioral Health that I go through, but they were recently bought out by like a larger conglomerate, and the name got changed to UMass Memorial. And this is my third psychiatrist since 2022. So I've gone through quite a bit. I don't remember having many problems when they took me off Lexapro cold turkey. I'm glad to hear that it didn't present too much of an issue for you, Cat Lily. Also, if you might be able to go to a psychiatric emergency care to get medication or emergency room if you start doing worse. Yeah, my mom actually suggested that today. In the event that I do start to feel like really off, it would be prudent, it would be very intelligent to make that decision of going to the hospital. I mean, it's very frustrating going to the hospital, but you know, as someone with mental illness, sometimes we got to do what we got to do. I know like the first thing they do when you go into a psych ward, at least, you know, when I've been to one, is they strip you, they make you take off all your clothes and put on a gown that like strips you of your identity and individuality. They take all your jewelry away. That I get, because it could be like a hazard to yourself. They take away your phone usually. And yeah, so it's not something I want to do. It's not the circumstance I want to find myself in, but I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure this problem doesn't get worse. If you're just joining in, welcome. My name is Tyler. I'm a mental health content creator on YouTube. We're talking about anything today. It's Free Flow Friday. This is my 7th live stream, but I have over 470 plus videos on my channel if you're interested in checking any of them out. But yeah, feel free to talk about anything. We are a very accepting and understanding community. and we will talk about absolutely anything. This is probably the most broad stream title I've had so far. So, I mean, aside from my first one, my first live stream was called Tyler Talks First Live Stream. Not particularly creative, I know. And then I did Tyler Talks News to Share. And the context of that was that day I got published in a news article, my battles with bipolar disorder. I'm not sure if everyone here has read that article, but I would definitely give it a look if you're interested in the topic. It's just type in on Google Stat News Tyler Adolfo, and the article will come up. It's about mania and like social media use, mania in the age of social media. So then my other stream titles were Tyler Talks My Lived Experiences, Tyler Talks Birthday Stream, Tyler Talks Life Lately, and then Tyler Talks Achievement, Adversity, and Mental Health. So we've had a diverse range of titles here so far. And now we're at Free Flow Friday, which I'm not sure if I'll make this a regular thing or not. I kind of want to feel it out and see how it proceeds, how it goes. But I don't have any issues with it so far. It's been pretty interesting to me. Look at me tooting my own horn. Your lives are great, Tyler. Thanks, Tyler. I do feel like I've gotten better since my very first lives, though. I was totally clueless as to what to do in this situation. And even though it's very similar to talking to a camera for a long form or short form video, with live, I mean, if you make mistakes, they're there. So, whereas with a long form or short form, you could just redo the video or edit it out. Cat Lily says, yeah, it sucks, but if they can give you medicine in the emergency room without admitting you to a psych ward. Oh, true. Yeah, they actually might do that. Another thing that bothers me about this is I don't want to be that guy who, and I'm not passing judgment on people who do this, but I don't feel comfortable doing it, is calling an ambulance. I don't have transportation to the hospital in my town. It's not a place I can walk to safely either. And calling an ambulance to take me out. And I live in a neighborhood with a lot of people. It's an apartment complex with hundreds of people. And everybody's so nosy. They'll be looking down at me, getting put in the ambulance. And then I would be at the hospital. They'd probably release me that night. Like almost certainly release me that night because I'm not suicidal. I'm not like a risk to myself or others. And once they do that, I'm screwed because I don't have a ride home. And at least where I am, medical services will not provide you a ride home from the emergency room. Like they'll just leave you stranded there. And I've had so many issues with medical transportation. Oh, wow, I'm sweating terribly. Jeez. I don't know why I put on a dress shirt for this. If you're just joining in, welcome. Appreciate you. We are talking about anything. Absolutely anything is on the table. Any topic that you're interested in, feel free to put it down in the comments and I'll respond. If you have any questions, I'll answer. I've had a great conversation so far. Kind of just started off talking about like what's on my mind and what stability feels like, this issue I've had with getting my medications refilled. We talked about a significant bipolar statistic and yeah, kind of just going with the flow. It is Free Flow Friday. I do want to expound a little bit on what I was talking about earlier as it pertains to loneliness and mental illness, loneliness in the aftermath of a bipolar manic episode. Because, I mean, I got expelled from my fraternity. I got expelled from my college. I got arrested and went to jail. And then I went home where I socially isolated for multiple years. I went from being a popular frat guy, successful college student, building up his resume, getting solid work experience, and I lost all of that because of one manic episode. Fortunately, in the legal case, I was not found guilty and the charges were dismissed, and I was very fortunate in that regard. That's not the case for everyone with mental illness going through the legal system. The legal system can be extremely harsh on some people. But yeah, I had to learn a lot about how to cope with the loneliness, and even as an introvert, you still want some social connection, like in moderation. I think finding balance is the key for myself. finding balance in anything is really essential. But it does hurt that like nobody from my fraternity reached out in the aftermath of what happened to me. And I have talked with some of them since. I've talked to about 6 of them, but I had to initiate the contact and contact them, and they were understanding, they were empathetic. But I mean, it is hurtful that nobody reached out to ask, like, Tyler, how are you? I know that you weren't in the best place. And while I was manic, they were very empathetic and understanding. Like, dozens visited me in the psych ward, and dozens more sent me text messages of support. But people started to distance themselves from me. And I cover that in quite a few videos. 2 of the main ones are I lived in a frat house while manic, and then I lost all my friends due to bipolar disorder. Well, that's enough about loneliness. Got another comment. Cat Lily. Yeah, my boyfriend drove me. Medical transportation is provided where I live. They call you a taxi home. That sucks that they don't have that where you live. Yeah. So there is a system where this is called PT1s, and they recently changed their system, and it's specifically for like going to doctor's appointments, or I use it to see my psychiatrist, I use it to see my therapist, I use it to see my regular doctor. They recently changed the system though, so when you call to schedule a ride, it takes an eternity to speak to an actual person. It used to take 30 minutes tops. I was recently on the phone for 2 hours, and I was like 175 in the queue. Like, I would have been on the phone all day trying to do that. And I'm trying to figure out how to schedule through the website or through the app. I tried the app, and the app, to put it bluntly, totally sucks. Whoever designed it and made that did a horrible job. And not trying to be a jerk, but that app is terrible. And the changes they made just haven't been helpful. But I'm not sure. I don't think I could use a PT. Like, a PT1 takes 3 business days to arrange. So if there's a particular day where I'm feeling like, wow, I really need to go to the hospital, I can't use a PT1 because it would take the 3 days to arrange anyways and to get that set up. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Free Flow Friday. My name is Tyler Adolfo, and we are talking about anything, absolutely whatever comes to mind. Feel free to put it in the comments. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I'm a mental health content creator. For anybody who's curious, I have over 470 plus videos on my channel, including videos of me rapping at talent shows, by the way. Check those out. Of all the content on my channel, that's what I want you to take away from this. Cat Lily, we have a medical transportation to doctors too. The computer is horrible as well. It can't understand humans. That's horrible. It sounds like the medication transportation. The medical transportation where you are, it sounds like it's a little bit better than where I am. I don't know. Yeah, that's very important. I do think that we need more investments in medical services, and especially mental health. A lot of people would benefit, and it's a net benefit to society. We're the richest country, and I shouldn't assume we're all from the U.S. here. I'm sorry, but the U.S. in particular is the richest country in the history of the world and human, so like human history. There's no excuse for why we shouldn't be able to properly fund and have efficient services. But yeah, it's a huge issue. I recently learned how to efficiently clip long form videos to make shorts out of those long form videos. And I'm just checking one thing in my analytics. I'll be right back. My top performing video in the last 60 minutes is a short. It's called Post Speech Humor. It's gotten 30 views in the last 16 minutes, and it has 1,420 views since being published. I actually published that earlier today. That's pretty good. I want to see what the swipe rate is. So earlier I talked about like click-through rate and how that affects the number of impressions you get on long form. It's a little different for short. Oh wow! So for shorts, the best engagement metric to look at is stayed to watch versus swiped away. If you want your short to get like in the 1,000+ view area, you want to be in like the 50% stayed to watch or higher. And currently this video is at 61.1% stayed to watch, which is pretty good compared to many of the other shorts I published recently and many of the shorts I published in general. My average for shorts stayed to watch is like 30% or something, which isn't very high. Okay, let me come back to comments. Oh, Damien, how much has your philosophy and political ideology changed since that episode/video? Oh no, a politics question. And I'm an honest guy. I don't want to dodge or not answer the question, but I will. So I'll start off with philosophy though, because that's a less controversial one. So my philosophy about life has been totally transformed by my episode. And oh, you said video too. Could you elaborate what you mean by video? But I'll keep answering as far as the episode's concerned. Before, I felt like there was nothing stopping me. There was no limit on my potential. There's absolutely no limit on my abilities, that I'm competent and I have the aptitude to do anything. And it's not that I don't feel that way anymore, but nowadays I see the importance of being cautiously optimistic, the danger of setting my standards too high because the risk of setting myself up to fail. And I understand that stress and lack of sleep are huge triggers to me going into mania. And, just the statistics about bipolar are concerning to me, and they make me appreciate life a lot more. Oh, okay. That makes sense, Damien. Yeah. So the video where I'm manic and talking politics, I will briefly say, so in the 2020 election, that's where I'll start here, because I don't feel comfortable talking about what my politics were before that. But in the 2020 election, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I wasn't manic at the time. I knocked on over 1,000 doors for Bernie in New Hampshire. That's why I've been to New Hampshire before. And I would go with a few college classmates from the Progressive Club. And I don't consider myself to be a Democrat. I consider myself to be a progressive. It's a very important distinction to me, anyways. When I was manic, though, I became very conspiratorial and I lost trust in a lot of the institutions that I previously had faith in. And I lost trust in pretty much everyone in general. And that's why I was so adversarial in that video and very accusatory. And the political viewpoints, the radical viewpoints that I expressed are in no way a reflection of how I feel when I'm sane. I mean, like I said, consider myself to be a progressive guy. I was just talking about how like we need more allocation of resources for mental health services, and I want to be a social security disability lawyer. Like I want to help people get approved for social security disability. So, but yeah, I'll keep the politics at that for now. My fear with talking about politics, and it's an issue I'm kind of on the fence about. I have thought about before possibly going into making political commentary content on just reacting to what's going on in the news. And I do feel like at some point I won't be able to constrain myself and I will start doing that. But when you're political, it's kind of like, in a way, 50% of people are going to respect and like you, and 50% of people are going to want nothing to do with you. They're not going to like you. I know that might be a little bit of hyperbole or exaggeration to an extent, but that's how I see it. That's how I feel. And as a mental health content creator, I don't want people who have different political beliefs than me to feel like they can't trust me, or to feel like I'm going to judge them because of their difference in political beliefs or how they view the world. Damien, I know it's hard to be political right now. I hear you. Yes, very challenging. And I'm actually quite proactive on I'm not the activist I used to be. I mean, I mentioned how I knocked on 1,000 doors in New Hampshire in 2020, which was like in the top 3 for most doors knocked at that particular New Hampshire Bernie Sanders office. I haven't done any like activism like that since. My activism consists of me posting on Facebook and debating my family now. So I don't really consider that a form of activism. It's not very effective. And, I consider myself to be quite skilled at, debate and rhetorical strategies. And in my experience, most people just experience cognitive dissonance when you engage in politics with them. And they kind of just dismiss what you say, even when presented with evidence that contradicts their positions. And it's just so frustrating. And I have considered in the past about possibly going into politics in the future, but it's not the highest thing on my bucket list right now. I used to actually, it was like a meme in high school and college. People would call me the future governor of Massachusetts because of how political I was. And now I wouldn't say I'm not political at all. I still pay attention to politics very closely, but I don't advertise and, showcase my politics. But at some point I might change that. I might actually do a separate channel where I do political commentary. That's another thing that I've considered doing. But even still, a lot of people might be upset with me if I do that. And I don't want to go down that path, at least right now. Cat Lily says, mania can make you think things that you don't agree with normally. Oh, yeah, totally true. Pretty much every statement I made in that unfiltered manic rant is something that I disagree with. Like, I know for a fact I said horrible things in it. Horrible things. So I was a little, on the fence about posting it, but I ultimately decided to do it. The description I put is a lot more comprehensive than the descriptions I typically put on my YouTube videos. So, not sure if you saw this, but I'll just read it real quick. This is an unfiltered manic rant that I filmed during a full-blown manic episode in late 2021. I had posted the rant to YouTube, but once I came out of mania, I was ashamed and removed it. This was just one of over 30 plus manic rant style videos that I had filmed. In this video, I showcase a myriad of common manic symptoms: pressured speech, flight of ideas, grandiosity, paranoia, transcendental thinking, emotional intensity. I want to be clear that the thoughts expressed in this video are not an actual reflection of how I feel. In no way are they an accurate representation of my actual belief system when stable. This was filmed when I was unstable, suffering from severe mental health crisis. My purpose in posting this rant unedited is because of the possible clinical value that this may have to professionals and to spread awareness about this highly stigmatized illness. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me anything. I'm passionate about talking about my lived experiences with this illness because I want others to know that they are, to know that they are alone in their struggles. I have to add the word not. I'm glad I decided to randomly read this. If you have bipolar disorder or know someone with bipolar disorder, you may find my playlist Bipolar Breakdown to be helpful. It currently has a library of over 98 videos talking about my experiences with the illness. Oh, I just found out where I have the 3 A/B titles. So I was telling you about the A/B system where you could test out different titles to see which one gets like a higher click-through rate among viewers. And these are the 3 titles that I got. So one is An Unfiltered Manic Rant, Bipolar Disorder, Unedited. The second one is I Was Manic When I Recorded This, Full Unedited Footage. And then the shortest one, third one, is Raw Footage from a Bipolar Manic Episode. I'm very curious once these test results for the A/B test come out, which one will perform the best. I don't quite understand the science of how certain YouTube titles perform better than others. I feel like I'm a creative guy, and sometimes I'll create a title and I'm like, oh, wow, I would totally click that. And then it will be my worst performing video ever. And then I'll change the title and then it suddenly picks up steam. And the title I changed it to was like super basic and broad and like, wow. It just shows how people are different, though. That's all it is. Damien says, it must have been insane sorting through all of those beliefs in the aftermath of the episode. Yeah. I mean, while I was manic, the beliefs that I possessed were not an accurate reflection of myself, and they challenged the actual belief system that I held. So once I was at a mania, I was distraught at a lot of the things that most of the pretty much most of the things I said, and put me in a place of despair. I was very regretful about the statements that I had made, and I wouldn't say like it was. I mean, it was definitely a surreal experience, but it wasn't like hard because I knew in my heart where I actually was. And eventually I came to understand that, this wasn't the real me. And I'm not perfect. There's a quote by Vince Lombardi that I always liked that was on the wall in my high school teacher, Mr. Constantine's classroom. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. I'm not perfect, but I do my best to be. And when I'm stable, I feel like I'm pretty close to excellent, but there I go. To my own horn again. Damien says, I get it 100%. I believe so many strange things when I got ill. Yeah, for me, and I'll just put it down in the comment below in case other people join in and are curious to like, what are they talking about? But strange thoughts. I had, manic, religious delusions, and political, I'll put radical political beliefs, conspiratorial thinking. All right, Cat Lily says, yeah, obviously politics are not really based on facts, more like based on telling people what they want to hear, at least lately. Probably always, though. That's certainly what politicians do. Those Coke users. No, I'm kidding. It's certainly what politicians do. They're not exactly models of integrity. They're not interested in doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing and serving their constituents. They're interested in getting elected. They're interested in staying in power, whether they would tell you that or not. And Thomas Jefferson said, all power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, or something to that effect. And it doesn't surprise me in the least bit that there's this predominance of corruption running through our systems of government. And I mean, I have people in my family who they're highly contentious when you try to have a civil conversation about politics with them. And I don't do this to insult people. I do this just to prove the point that you're not well informed on the issue. I'll pose the simple question like, who's the Speaker of the House? Who's the Vice President? Like, you're telling me you have this extreme belief that is a very immoral, in my view, and that has negative impacts on millions of people. You harbor this view based off, things you've seen scrolling on Facebook, which is not a credible source of information. But you're not politically educated. You don't even know who the vice president is. Like, seriously? This is who I'm arguing with? I much prefer having conversations with political independents because, and I'm talking about like true dependents, not the ones who say, oh yeah, I'm an independent, but they vote for the same party 100% of the time. I'm talking about independents who like their vote is generally like up in the air of who they're voting for in any particular election, because they could actually be swayed. They're more open to changing their mind based on new facts that they're presented with. They're willing to adapt their beliefs in the face of new information. So that's kind of like, I feel like when I talk politics with people in real life, that those are the type of people I prefer to speak to personally. I don't like talking to low information voters. I just don't. Or low propensity voters is a more polite way of putting it. So I'll say low propensity voters. Damien says, political discourse is so partisan now that there is no original debate anymore. Yeah. It's like copy paste of talking points that were broadcast on different media platforms. That's all it is. There's no application of logic or calling out fallacious lines of reasoning. It's all regurgitating talking points that came from the media atmosphere that that particular person follows. And yeah, I see your other comments too. People used to have their own opinions. Yeah, critical thinking used to be more common than it is now. And people were capable of thinking for themselves. And I run into that a lot when debating with my family. Like they'll regurgitate word for word something that I saw on a news station. And I mean, it is what it is, right? I understand people are very busy and preoccupied with their lives. Not everyone has the time to be informed on politics. But I'll tell it like this: I don't have a lot of respect for people who have the time to be informed but aren't. Like, if there's a mitigating factor where they're like, dealing with a mental illness or something and want nothing to do with it, like I've been there, I get that. But if you're going to make ignorant comments and support immoral policies that negatively affect millions of people, and you better have some evidence to substantiate your position. You better have points that corroborate your argument. Otherwise, I want nothing to do with talking with you. But yeah, it seems original opinions are very scarce these days. I've been paying attention to politics closely from a very young age. I used to, as a little kid, because I was so passionate, I'm still passionate about public speaking, very much so. I would watch political debates on C-SPAN, which is probably, for most people, the most boring channel on television. Like it's just politicians arguing with each other or different committees discussing an issue or interviewing witnesses. As a kid, I loved every bit of that. I would watch it and I would like study. I remember watching a debate on gun control between Senator Feinstein and Senator Cruz, and I like took notes on it about like the points that each of them made that I liked and which arguments of theirs I liked and which one had better body language. And it was very fascinating to me. It was more fun and enjoyable than playing outside with the other kids. Cat Lily says, talking politics on YouTube is useless now if you don't have your own channel. They just erase my comments if they don't like them. Yeah, there's a lot of censorship out there too. There's people who just don't want to hear other people's opinions. They feel like they're very haughty, like they feel like they're superior in every way. And I try to put myself in the shoes of other people and understand their perspective based on different backgrounds. And I do watch a lot of political channels, and I don't often make comments. Sometimes I do. I actually made a few today on a channel I was watching earlier. It's pretty popular, progressive, but I don't really engage in the discourse in the comment section now. If I had my own political commentary channel that was like exclusively for politics and people wanted to like come on and debate me, that would be pretty fun. I would enjoy that. But arguing in a YouTube comment section usually isn't very productive. It usually results in ad hominem almost immediately and the total absence of logic. This has been a pretty engaging conversation so far. I appreciate each and every one of you. Just 3 of us in here now. So Damien, Cat Lily, and another viewer who hasn't said anything, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I just wish it would let me see who the other person is. Like, there has to be a way to like see who the viewers are that are watching your live, but there might not be a way to do that. But whoever you are, the live stream currently has 2 likes. I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that like button so that more people could see the stream, so it gets promoted more in the algorithm. We can get more people in here to join our conversation, which is about anything and everything. All right, man, I am so addicted to analytics. Like, I just can't get off the. In the last 60 minutes, I've gotten 37 views. In the last 28 days, 34,571 views, which is my best performance ever. And that's due to shorts, not due to long form. My long form content has struggled a lot recently. It peaked in January 2024 when I had like 10 videos in a row get 1,000+ views or more. And now I'd be lucky to get 2,000 long form views in a month. Kylie says, I am fairly liberal. I get most of my news from PBS, but I realize that they lean towards the liberal side. Yeah, I'm progressive, and I have a lot of liberal friends. I guess you could consider me liberal too. I mean, it's not too different from being progressive. We probably agree on almost everything. I don't know. I shouldn't assume that, but I'll at least agree on a lot more than people who are from the other end of the political side. And what kind of moved me in that direction was my experiences with mental illness throughout my life, and just recognizing which political party, which politicians were advocates of myself and the people that I know and care about, and the people from the community that I come from, and which ones are apathetic to those problems and don't care. Yeah, PBS is a great source. PBS puts out a lot of interesting documentaries, not just political ones either. I think they're the ones who put out, no, I'm not sure actually, so I'm not going to say that, but they do put out a lot of really interesting documentaries. This is a stat that's kind of surprising to me. In the last 28 days, the bulk of my viewers have been on mobile phone. 54.8% watch my videos through a phone, only 20.7% from a computer. And then this is the number that's kind of surprising to me. 19.4% watch me through a TV. I didn't realize that many people watch YouTube through a TV, but hey, it is what it is. I'm not judging by any means. Do whatever suits you. I'm not sure why the gender distribution for my channel is the way it is, but so for the gender section, it used to be like a 50-50 split between male and female. Now my channel's 78% male and 21.7% female, and then 0.2% user specified. I don't understand why that is. Like, I make mental health content, and mental health issues affect men and women, and I don't understand why. I'm not complaining, but like, it's weird how my audience has suddenly become predominantly men. Like, I'm trying to look at my videos and figure out, like, is there something that where I shifted my content, now my content just suddenly appeals to exclusively men, or like, what's the reasoning here? Callie says, yeah, I waste my time arguing online. I am trying to stop. I would highly recommend it, Callie. When I stopped arguing with people online, I felt a million times better. It's not worth the stress, and stress induces so many, excuse me, I gotta take a drink real quick. What was I saying? Stress induces so many problems of your own. So I totally Get where you're coming from. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the stream. It is Free Flow Friday, talking about anything and everything. There we go. Just for people who end up popping in later. I made a few Reddit posts today. I'm going to check and see real quickly how those are doing. See if we got any comments. That's another thing. Like, my social media use has grown exponentially these past few weeks, and I'm wondering if it's in some way related to me being off 2 of my medications for 13 days. Like, I got a notification on my phone this past Sunday saying that I averaged like 5 hours and 40 minutes or something like that per day on my phone. And that's not counting the hours I then also spend in addition to that on my laptop watching YouTube videos. That's horrifying to me. Like, I know there's so many negative effects of doing that, and I think constantly about how I could better distribute my time, spend more time reading books. And the live stream yesterday, it was suggested that I start a podcast. And I do have this book. I haven't started reading it yet, but maybe if I spent less time on my phone, I could have finished this book a week and a half ago. I haven't even started it yet, but I don't plan on starting a podcast anytime soon, but I do think it's a really interesting idea. So I appreciate that it was brought up. It would be pretty cool to, it would be taboo, and I'd have to be very careful in how I went about it because I'm not a mental health professional. I don't have medical credentials. So I'd have to really drive home the point that I'm coming into this podcast with the perspective of someone who suffers from bipolar as a patient. I'm not a medical professional, so I can't give out like medical advice or, say, oh, in your case, I think you should be on this medication, Charles. Like, no, I'm not qualified to do that. And that's something I'd have to be very careful about getting to. And then in addition to that, I consider myself to be a very empathetic guy, especially since being diagnosed with bipolar. But you have to be like extra careful. If I were to like do a series where I bring people on who suffer from mental illness and, talk to them and just have a one-on-one conversation and, talk about anything, kind of like we're doing here, but with 2 people on video through Zoom or something. And there's actually some YouTubers I'd be interested in collaborating with, but I'm not sure they'd be willing to, at least not with the current size of my channel. I'll be right back, yo. I got to let my cat out of the room. Thank you for waiting patiently. So I will have to go probably like 1 to 2 minutes from now again, just to let him back in. Cat Lily says, I used to read so much before I started using YouTube in 2020. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, YouTube is highly addictive, and YouTube, for what it's worth, it's, in my view, very valuable. You can learn so much from this website. I think it's really about how you use your time, how you spend it. If you're spending 10 hours a day, binge watching entertainment videos, it's probably not healthy for you. If you do an hour of entertainment videos a day and an hour of self-improvement videos a day, or something that interests you and makes you feel complete and whole, like, that's probably healthy. I can't say for certainty, but I mean, I feel better the less I use it. I shouldn't say that. I'm on YouTube right now, and I don't want them to retaliate. YouTube is phenomenal, and I think you should be on it at all hours of the day. Thanks. Oh. Cat Lily, lots of people with lived experience are online. Most have a disclaimer. Okay. Good to know. Hmm. Oh, that's what I want. I wanted to. I forgot what I was doing. I wanted to check Reddit real quick. Three notifications. What could this be? Cool, cool. All right, that's enough of Reddit. I don't want to be distracted here, but I did have to take a peek just to see what was going on there. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking about the rant video I posted, and it kind of made me reflect on the shame that I felt in the aftermath of my mania. The shame because of videos that I had filmed like that, the shame because of posts where I used similar rhetoric and spread terrible use of language on different social media platforms, and the shame that came from embarrassing myself and destroying my credibility among my friends, among my family. And that's another thing. My family relationships were greatly damaged by my manic episode. And as someone who's been pretty close to my family from a young age, it was very hurtful to go through that. And I do have some cousins who have rather stereotypical views of my illness. As an example, I'm not sure if you've ever heard this one before, but there's people who will say, well, everyone has a little bit of bipolar. And it's like, no, let me correct you on that. John Adams said that facts are stubborn things. The statistics show that only 2.8% of people in the world have bipolar disorder. So when you say everyone has a little bit of bipolar, you're kind of downplaying the severity of my illness. It seems to me like you're trying to suggest that, I shouldn't be making excuses. And that leads me into a statement a cousin of mine has made before, where he said something to the effect of, I have depression, but I still do things. And he said that in the context of me not having worked a job at the time, because I had just came out of a 6-month manic episode and I was dealing with shame, guilt, embarrassment. I fell into a profoundly deep depression. And under those circumstances, he used callous language like that. It was harmful. It hurt. But I understand that not everybody is going to be informed and well versed on the issue of mental health. Is a very taboo topic. People don't enjoy talking about it. And even if the intent is good, it still hurts to hear those things. But for every person there is who says something negative and that causes harm to yourself, and there's also people who say good things. There's been plenty of times in my life where I've received positive compliments. I've received some great compliments in my life. So, just an example, I won't say which senator, but I used to work at a concert venue as a show announcer. And there's a senator, former senator now, who actually has a band that he would play, when he was away from Washington. And I got to introduce him on stage. And after he was done performing, I met him off stage and shook his hand. And he said, Tyler, you're an excellent public speaker. So to hear that from a senator, it made my day. And it was a very cool experience. I got to meet a lot of interesting people as a show announcer for a concert venue. Got another person joining in. I can't see who it is, but welcome. Appreciate you being here. My name's Tyler. I'm a mental health content creator. Have over 470 plus videos on my channel, and I just started streaming in like December as something new to kind of grow the channel and experiment a little bit. It's a lot more engaging than long form or short form in my view. But for this particular stream, there really is no topic. It's Free Flow Friday. It's anything goes. So if there's anything on your mind that you'd like to talk about, feel free to put it down below. We've talked primarily about mental health and lived experiences in this so far. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a cordial welcome. We're all happy to have you here. But yeah, shame is one of the great obstacles I faced coming out of Mania. The guilt, the embarrassment, the shame. Why did I say this? Why did I do that? I literally accused some of my fraternity brothers of being Nazi agents. I called my mom a communist spy. And then, of course, there were the consequences of my social media use. I got expelled from my fraternity, and I've been reinstated since then. But at the time, it was very depressing and put me in a place of despair. I got expelled from my university because I got into a fight while manic. And fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt, but it was still a traumatic ordeal all around. I was charged criminally. And in the legal case of I was not found guilty and the charges were dismissed because of the mental illness I was suffering from. And I was very fortunate in that regard. There's so many people with mental illnesses who kind of just get railroaded through the system, and they don't really have people to advocate on their behalf in a competent way. There's not a lot of people understand mental illness. But yeah, I really got to do something about my social media use. I got recommended a book by Timothy Chalamet a few years back. You probably think I'm manic after saying that. No, it's a true story. I was on Twitter where I follow Timothy Chalamet, and somebody asked him, "Do you have any book recommendations?" And he tweeted back to that person, "The Shallows by Nicholas Carr, but reading this will probably make you hop off this, like not be on Twitter anymore." It's an incredibly interesting book. I won't spoil it, but it's about like how prevalent technology has become in our lives and how it's affecting attention economy. I got to do something about my social media use. Oh, Kenny, welcome in. Hi, Tyler. I'm watching. I'm using the bathroom now, so I'll be back. All right. I will still be here, Kenny. Appreciate you coming in and saying hello. Cat Lily, some people told me that minimalizing junk, I told them I have a serious mental illness. Have they been in a psychiatric hospital? Yeah, there is a wide range of depression. I agree. Manifests differently in different people. All right, I'm going to take a quick look at my rant video, see what that's at. Looks like it's at 35 views. Not too shabby. Despite my unhealthy social media use, though, I will concede that I'm highly motivated about making content. Probably noticed that these past few days. I mean, my motivation comes in waves. So like the first 5 or 6 days of January, I uploaded a video. This February, I've been uploading a lot, at least shorts. And then I've been pretty consistent with long form as well. So for long form, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've done 9 long form videos this month. And I think my favorite one that I've put up here so far was the IQ test one. I scored an ID8 excuse me, I scored an 88 on an IQ test. Something doesn't add up. That was one of my most favorite videos of the recent ones that I've made. Cat Lily says, sorry for all the typing mistakes. I don't have a computer. I'm on. No, that's totally okay, Lily. I get you. I was able to read it and understand it. I make a lot of type outs when I'm on my phone, and this it usually doesn't bother me, but I think because of me being off my medications, it's one of those things that has been aggravating me. Like, like when I type on Reddit, because I do talk to a lot of people on Reddit. I frequent the bipolar subreddit quite a lot, and I'll make type outs constantly, and I'll go back and I'll respond to comments, and then I'll see 5 type outs in one paragraph. It's like, are you serious? So then I have to go in, edit it, fix it, or if I don't feel like doing that, I'll just delete it. I haven't watched the IQ video yet. That's okay, Catley. If you want to watch it, it will be there for the foreseeable future. But yeah, I made that because I don't really want to spoil it actually, but I do challenge some of the ideas that IQ test advocates perpetuate, and based off my lived experiences. That one's at 197 views, 16.1 watch hours. It was promoted fairly well in the algorithm, 3,400 impressions. And the average view duration is above average for my channel. One of the big stat values that YouTubers look at is what percent of viewers are still watching 30 seconds in. And it's kind of sad that this is the case, and you'll see this in lots of YouTube tip videos for content creators, where they'll say, if 70% of your viewers are still watching 30 seconds in, then you're on a good track. So if 30% of your viewers leave within the first 30 seconds of your video, that's good. Well, yeah, because you're going to have videos, if you're a consistent content creator, that only 30% are still watching 30 seconds in. And I think a lot of it just has to do with shortened attention spans. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but okay, I'm back. Welcome back, Kenny. Appreciate you coming in and saying hi and letting us know that you'd be back. We were waiting for, yep. Cat Lily, you're actually, just for your comment, I plan to watch it, but I'm behind on watching videos right now. Totally fine, by the way, but there's a feature on YouTube that lets me see like who's made the most comments on YouTube, and you and one other viewer of mine are actually tied. So I appreciate all the support. You've both made 100 plus something comments. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but y'all have been here for a while. And the other one, I'm not sure if you've seen her comments anywhere. You probably have, but her name's Diane. Very nice person. I appreciate the support that all of you show on the videos. It means a lot, and I appreciate what you have to say. I feel like you have a very interesting perspective to share, and I could tell that you're a very insightful person. You're educated on the things that you talk about in your comments, and that's always a relief. When I would watch YouTube for multiple hours a day and read a lot of, let's just put it as interesting things, to be as polite as possible, it's a relief to see comments that are actually insightful and interesting. So, and I have a new series on my channel that I don't expect to do well, but I'm doing it because I just want to be helpful to people who are participating in a competition that I did in high school. And that's DECA. DECA is an organization. They provide opportunities to high school and college students to learn skills in a field of business. There's different categories. There's hospitality and tourism, sports management. My category was business finance. And my senior year of high school, I signed up to compete, and I won first place in my district. I then advanced to the state conference, where I won first place in the state of Massachusetts, and I secured a spot. I qualified for ICDC, which is very prestigious in DECA, and it stands for International Career Development Conference. And it was a phenomenal experience. So I'm making this series where I share the study strategies that helped me do so well and advance so far, so that other people could hopefully get that same experience of going to ICDC, because ICDC was so much fun. That's actually when I went to Orlando, Florida for about 5 days. And wow, I wish I could relive that experience. Kenny says, it's Friday the 13th. Oh, it is. I forgot about it until a family member told me. I forgot about it until you told me, Kenny. That always slips my mind. And without fail, there's always someone who ends up bringing that up or mentioning it to me before the day ends. So, oh, that's too funny. Callie, really? Yes, I have seen her comment. She is nice. Oh, cool. Yeah, I figured you would know who I'm talking about, because I think I've responded to threads before where both of you were commenting on. So I wanted to bring it up 'cause I thought, but I wasn't certain that you might have seen her comments before. But yeah, she actually just commented today. She's been gone for a while. And yeah, she just said, hope you're doing well. So glad to see that she's back, and I hope that she's doing well. I hope that all of you are doing well, by the way. That's a question I would ask more of my viewers, like, how are you doing, by the way? And I don't get offended when people ask me it, but I do overthink things. And I think that, like, if I'm asking that of someone else, that it might be too intrusive or make them feel uncomfortable. And I don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. So I try my best to, be respectful of boundaries. But with that being said, I hope you're all doing okay and that things are going well for you. This year, for me, it's been flying by. I'm glad to hear it, Lily. You're doing well mentally. I would say up until I went these 2 weeks without medications, I was doing pretty good. And it's not like I'm doing terrible now. Things could be a lot worse, and I'm understanding of that. But it's definitely not the ideal situation. I'm going to check something real quick. So 2024, from January 1st of 20. Oh, let me put the slash. 2024, January. Why isn't it doing it? Oh, it's 2 numbers for the year. Okay, that's kind of weird, but. And then 12 slash. Does December have 31 days? I gotta check. Does December? Yeah. Okay, it does. 31 slash 2024. Okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up, because I think this is pretty interesting. So in 2024, the channel gained 829 subscribers, had 4,100 watch hours, and 103,000 views. And in terms of the growth of this channel, to put in perspective how good that is, in terms of my channel, I mean, other channels have obviously done much better. I'll now pull up the stats for 2025. So 829 subscribers gained in 2024. Oh, I put the wrong year here. Hold on. In 2024, the channel just gained 143. And it's not like I stopped posting. I did post a lot of videos that year. It's just I was very inconsistent. I would go prolonged periods of time where I didn't upload at all. And but I do have a pretty good, base, a good subscriber amount to, get content off the ground early on. And then it's just a matter of hoping that, praying that YouTube will send it out to more people. So could try to spread. I want the bipolar breakdown playlist to at some point, like pick up steam and just so that it benefits more people. Damien says, I'm not good. I'm sorry to hear that, Damien. But the stream is distracting me, so that's good. Yeah, you got to make the best of a bad situation, right? I'm glad that I could be a happy distraction for you. A good distraction. Sometimes distraction can be a good, I don't know if it's considered like a coping mechanism, but it's definitely helped me like alleviate stress when I'm feeling very burdened. Kenny says, and tomorrow is Valentine's Day, if nobody here cares. Oh, is it tomorrow? Someone on Reddit told me Happy Valentine's Day, so I assumed it was today. And I said Happy Valentine's back. Now I want to delete my comment because that's embarrassing. I don't even know when Valentine's Day is. I didn't know it was Friday the 13th. I didn't know when Valentine's is. Kenny, you just keep exposing me. Come on. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, I personally, and I've actually never had a Valentine's Day. I've had 2 girlfriends in my life and never overlapped with Valentine's Day. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm focused on myself anyways. And I know for a fact I wouldn't be ready for any serious relationship now. So, but once I get back in shape and maybe once I finish my undergrad, I could explore that world again. We'll see. Nothing's immutable. Everything's subject to change. And now I'm going to check real quickly how many subscribers. This year only just started, but want to see how many subscribers have been gained this year. All right. So this year, wait, what? That doesn't sound right. Oh, it changed the year to 2025. I don't know why it did that. This year so far, gained 29 subscribers. I mean, I guess it's okay. I gained 21 in January and then 8 in February so far. Hey, any form of growth is still growth. As you could probably tell by now, I am pretty obsessed with the YouTube analytics. It's just very cool looking at numbers. AP Stats was one of my favorite classes in school. So, and they keep introducing new features to the YouTube studio. And it's just so addictive. And that's part of the reason why I'm averaging 5.5 hours a day on my phone. There's negatives that come with YouTube, of course. I mean, one of them is getting negative comments from time to time, and I've gotten better dealing with them. The approach I take to them, it really depends on, I don't know, it depends, I guess, on my mood state to a degree. But I've had some terribly mean comments over the years. So being a content creator, you do have to have some thick skin. But I try not to let the negative people, the few bad apples, outweigh the disproportionately larger number of people who are overwhelmingly positive and supportive and empathetic, and they help me out, they help each other out. Cat Lily says, I haven't found much bipolar content on YouTube. Maybe we aren't consistent enough. Yeah, I found there's some larger channels about bipolar that, specifically focus on just bipolar. I don't do that, and they get pretty good traction. I have found some other videos of people sharing their like manic experiences or stories, but they're kind of like they're usually one-off videos where they'll post one video about their bipolar experience and then the rest of their content is about different topics, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but uh, I would have to say like there's not too many who do it consistently, so I'd have to agree with that. There are some though. Let me actually check because there are some I follow that are consistent, and I would love to give them a little shout out here if any of you are interested in subscribing to them. Some of the ones that I watch, I just have to find the exact like spelling and stuff. But let's see. I have so many channels I'm subscribed to. It's hard to find what I'm actually looking for, but I'll find it. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. But I don't just exclusively watch bipolar disorder channels either. I watch pretty much everything. Oh, I wonder if this lady deleted her channel. I don't see it. I'd be very sad if she did. I really liked her videos. Take one more quick scroll through my subscriber list to see if I could find it. I also subscribe to some Call of Duty players because I do like watching Call of Duty. I used to be a big fan of playing Call of Duty. I don't play much anymore. I do still get the itch to play sometimes, but it's not something I want to spend hours of my day doing on a day-to-day basis. I just don't know how people do that. Okay, so one bipolar channel that I watch is one of the bigger ones that has 244,000 subscribers. And let me know if you've heard of this one. I'm curious. It's called Polar Warriors. That's one of them. I'm trying to find the one with this lady. She's a smaller scale channel and she's really good. I don't see her. I'm kind of embarrassed that I don't know the name of her channel. Huh, that's very odd. Okay. I know I said I was taking one more look, but I am going to take one more. There is one. She hasn't posted in a long time, but another. This isn't the one I was talking about, but she has some informative videos. And when I was first getting into making content about bipolar disorder, I watched her entire playlist to learn a little bit more. She hasn't been active in 12 years, but she actually has a pretty, very high viewed. Yeah, she has a video talking about how she got disability that has 96,000 views. Certainly more than I've ever got. But who knows? Things might change. Oh, here's another one. Oh, this is her. Okay, I think she changed her name. That's why I couldn't find her. So I'll put her name first. That's her name, but it's no longer her channel name. I don't think it's her channel name. It says here Bipolar Strong. So yeah, I would just type in that name followed by Bipolar Strong. Very awesome lady. She makes so many good videos. She's been making videos for a while. She has 136 videos, almost 800 subscribers. Her last video came out a month ago, The Danger of Failing Well. And then she has the system failed you? Keep going. Limiting chaos to foster personal growth. Hope after losing someone. She just makes excellent content. In my opinion, she makes excellent content. I feel like she should be someone who has, way more subscribers than she has. Very well spoken, and you could tell that she's a compassionate person as well. So, and then let's see if there's any. There might be one more here that I've watched. I thought I saw another one. I scrolled past it because I was looking for Esler's channel, but now I can't find this other one that I. Oh well. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, I'm always looking for new channels to watch and support as well. You found more schizo effective videos. Yeah, Polar Warriors, and you are the main ones to see. Oh, interesting. Yeah, the channel Polar Warriors, to me, I mean, they make highly effective videos. They're much more higher production than anything that I can do, but they're proof that there's an audience out there for this content. I mean, there's a lot of people who have bipolar disorder. There's a lot of people who don't have it, but who live with or know someone with the condition who they deeply care about, and they want to understand the illness better, which I have incredible respect for people who do that. YouTuber I've been following, he doesn't make content about bipolar disorder. It's more like he's a young guy. I think he's like 19 or 20. His name is Matthew. This is his handle. And this guy might be one of, like, for a young person, he's extremely wise, super well spoken, and he talks about topics that are just deeply, profoundly touching. And I've been subscribed to him for years now, and he blew up very quickly. I remember when he had less than 10,000 subscribers, and like within a year after me subscribing, I mean, he's now at 107,000 subscribers, 792 videos. And I'll just read a few of his titles just to give you an idea of, if in case you're interested of what he does. This is my life. In the end, does any of this even matter? Life advice from a 20-year-old dropout still living at home. This video will find you when you are ready. Believe in yourself. His most viewed video, this was a very hard-hitting one. It feels like I'm waiting to die. Has 150,000 views. I'm 19 and I have no friends. 75,000 views. Callie says, I'll look her up. The schizoaffective bipolar type content creators are fairly useful because they have a lot of overlap with bipolar 1. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing some of those. I'll have to look it up myself. If there's any particular ones you'd recommend to me, then feel free to put them down below. Otherwise, I'll just kind of search and figure it out, see where the algorithm takes me. I kind of like the smaller scale creators more. I feel like they're more personal. They're more likely to engage with comments in their community. And once people get big, it's very hard to respond to every comment. I had that issue in January 2024 when my channel was peaking. When I had like 10 videos in a row get 1,000+ views, I was getting 40 comments a video, 100 comments a day sometimes. And like, I didn't have the time or willpower or mental capacity to respond to that many. So there were some that I didn't respond to like 5 months later. I can't imagine what they were thinking, like, oh, so now you respond to my comment. I mean, hey, there's creators who will never respond to a comment. So at least I responded. Almost out of my diet cola. I'm going to have to go get an apple juice in a little bit. We're at 2 hours, 3 minutes, 44 seconds so far. Welcome if you're just joining in. Appreciate you coming in. My name is Tyler Adolfo. I am a mental health content creator. I have over 470 plus videos on the channel. I have a background in public speaking. And my goal is to just spread insights about mental illness and hopefully make people feel less alone. In this particular live, though, it's anything goes. We're talking about anything and everything. So you're absolutely welcome here. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but we do appreciate you tuning in. I actually missed something I really wanted to watch today, and it's because I did this stream instead, but I could watch the VOD later, or I might just go to Reddit because I'm curious what the result was. But I do follow the Call of Duty League. I am a supporter of the FaZe team, and I think they played Miami Heretics today. I don't know if they won, though. So, you know what? I can't wait anymore. I got to look it up. Let me see. So, Optic beat the Breach. What? No way. FaZe got swept by Miami. That's crazy. How? Yeah, I'm going to have to watch the replay of this because I need to see how that happened. If it was as runaway of a series as I thought, or as it looks like it was a runaway series. I could, if you like. I mean, there's not really enough people here to do it and make it interesting, so I might save it for another time. But I have over 30 plus videos on the channel where, again, that I filmed while I was manic and then I uploaded to the channel. And one thing I'm thinking about doing for the streams once we get more people in here is doing live reactions to these videos I filmed while manic. Many of these I haven't seen in years. Some of them I haven't seen since I filmed them, so I haven't seen them at all. And I could screen share and show you what I'm talking about, but I'm not sure if that will take my face off the screen. If it does, I suppose that's okay. I do want to learn how to use the screen feature, screen capture feature at some point. So let me go to Studio first, and I'll take you to, I'll put it on in a second. Content, filter, visibility, private videos. And not all of these are ones that I filmed while manic. Some are ones that I had a passion for filming. I put them out there, but then later on decided that I wasn't comfortable having that particular video out there. So I ended up privating it, but I don't want to get rid of it completely. I want to keep it in my library as a memory, as a, documentation. So I'm actually going to, instead of the screen share, I'll read you some of the titles of the privated videos I have that I filmed while manic. And before I do that, I'm going to check to see if there's any new comments in the stream, but let me figure out how to get here first. Okay. Kenny says, do any of your real life friends, whether from in the past or currently, have any mental illness or illnesses or autistic? Yes. So, well, when I say real life, so there's one example of a friend that I went to UMass Amherst with. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but he actually found me through YouTube, which is pretty cool. And he also had a bipolar manic episode that affected his schooling. And he reached out to me and said, hey, I saw your videos, man. Would love to catch up. And we had a conversation, and we even started attending some group therapies before. So, yeah, he's the first one that comes to mind. A mental illness does run extensively in my family. Aside from that, there's not really any that are jumping out at me. So, yeah, the person who contacted me from UMass, he was in my introductory communication class because we had the same major. And very cool guy, very smart guy. And unfortunately, he suffered from a bipolar manic episode as well. So these are some of the privated videos that I filmed while manic. They're so embarrassing. I'm ashamed of them. They're similar to the unedited, unfiltered manic rant that I posted today, where I had extreme beliefs. So one is an hour, 19 minutes, and 47 seconds long. It's called United We Stand, Divided We Fall, Thanksgiving Message. Another one, Hillary Clinton should have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Jeb Bush was right about the war on drugs. This one's pretty funny. Deport libertarians to the moon. And then I got one called Christian Cultural Conservatives Are Not Pro-Life. Is Trump the favorite to win in 2024? I put one called The CIA is Progressive and Apolitical. Capitalist New York passes tyrannical optional vaccine mandate to save lives. Breaking news in all capital letters. Woke, freedom-loving know-it-alls don't know what the scientific method is. Trump and Romney were correct about Russia. America retreats from the world stage. There's all these bizarre, all over the place videos I have had. There's not even consistency in my political beliefs during Mania. I was all over the place because I didn't trust anybody. My beliefs would shift daily. Booming Biden economy, build back better working, how geopolitical crisis may or may not cause a crash. Outright darling Tulsi Gabbard wasn't censored from the 2020 Democratic debates, but she should have been. Some of these are funny to me, but Bernie Sanders cares more about Israel than arrogant, holier-than-thou chicken cuck conservatives. Masked white nationalist group at Lincoln Memorial. Response. Fraternity bruh reacts to why colleges tolerate fraternities. I'm almost done here. So I'll get back to you guys in a second. I don't see your comments right now because I'm on a separate screen, but this one I filmed while manic. I actually surprisingly didn't particularly mind, but I did remove it anyways. It's called Pros of Joining a Social Fraternity, Greek Life. There's one called Why I Support Building a Wall Around Florida. And then Republican Marco Rubio is more anti-war than well-intentioned know-it-all progressives. That's an interesting thing to say, considering that I'm a progressive myself. Mayor Pete loves Jesus more than online trolls, but are his ideas too lame for America? Tucker exposed by CNN's reliable sources as American with a different opinion. Putin puppet? Question mark. Empathetic capitalist David Pakman exposed as an anti-fascist shill who prefers logic over emotion. These are so all over the place. They're embarrassing. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm not going to read through all of these in one go. Cat Lily. Schizo? Am I saying that right? Is a goth science graduate who works in a lab. She has mostly short videos, but she has some longer ones. She is interesting. Okay. I will write her down. Appreciate you kindly. Kenny says, have you ever disassociated or felt like you weren't real? This happened to me when I was 8 or 9 years old. You don't have to tell me if it's uncomfortable. No, not at all. It's a good question, Kenny. So, yes, to the second part of your question where you said or felt like you weren't real. When I was extremely manic, suffering from delusions and hallucinations, there were times where I felt like we were living in a matrix or a simulation, and it felt like the Truman Show. At times, I felt like I was living in a movie, and I was very particular about every action that I took. I went to Alcohol's Anonymous meetings and said all kinds of bizarre statements that were totally not grounded in reality. They had to stop me sometimes because of the things I was saying. And yeah, there are times I felt like I was simulated, like part of a simulated reality. That's one of the crazy mental distortions that I had during Mania. Real quickly, I'm going to, good question, by the way, go back to this list of videos I had filmed and uploaded to my YouTube channel while manic, while I was crazy. So another one is race and leadership. Why? Oh, this one might be racist. Why are white managers and leaders on average less competent than non-whites? 2022 NBA Finals prediction. LeBron James is not a top 5 player. He's a top 10 teammate at best. 100 reasons why. Michael Jordan's still the GOAT. If that title doesn't tell you how manic I was, I don't know what will. Gen Z reacts to George Carlin on women. David Pakman doing Red Scare. Establishment Democrats and corporate media turning on Republican Hillary Clinton. Okay, next page here. Oh, man, there's so many of these. Oh, there might be more than 30. Conservative Joe Biden performing miracles, preventing World War III? Question mark. Is the United States of America headed for civil war? That's the bipolar manic rant that I had just uploaded today, just unfiltered, unedited, so that people could get insight from it on what it looks like to see a bipolar patient suffering from mania. Now, I did some conspiracy ones too. Zachary Hubbard of Gematria Effect News, the goat of truth community, question mark. Truth virus is back, the OG Columinatus gangster. Hillary Clinton is Democrats' best and only option at defeating Trump in 2024, question mark. Ordinary Christian intellectually pummels math expert Neil deGrasse Tyson into verbal submission. Debate analysis series, President Donald J. Trump, episode 1, casino gambling, second GOP debate, George Bush. Far-right MSNBC anchor visibly drained over not being invited to Boris Johnson parties. Okay. Man, I could go on and on. I didn't realize there were this many. David Pakman plays up Red Scare politics. 25-minute, 33-second video, by the way. This one is very interesting. It was about something that I thought about related to UMass and corruption and sexual assault. It's called The Truth About Theta Chi UMass. Good thing I have that one privated because I'd probably be held liable for the things that I say in it. I have one called Logan Paul Won Both Fights. Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders 2024 election prediction. Nobel Prize economist Thomas Sowell. Worst president ever. Progressive responds. Okay, so I went from being a Republican to now being a progressive again. That's interesting. The day Alex Jones went on Piers Morgan. Thomas Sowell breaks down how schools are dumbing down young people. Is Mitt Romney the savior of the Republican Party? Mainstream media thinks so. Tuesday throwback. Mitt Romney gets clobbered by President Obama during second debate. Truth virus exposes COD predictive programming. That's another conspiracy one. Ron Paul intellectually pummels Wolf Blitzer on aggressive trap question about uninsured Americans. Ron Paul dropped Hiroshima's truth bomb on Communist News Network. Stands steadfast with ally Israel. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich threatened by President Biden's State of the Union, question mark. Okay, that was another whole list. I'm just trying to see where this ends now. See, there's still quite a few more. Wow. Okay, and then it looks like it cuts off there. Okay. So then we got Hillary Clinton versus Mitt Romney election prediction. Was Trump most anti-military industrial complex president in American history? And again, these are not beliefs that I endorse or espouse. These are things I said while I was manic and out of touch with reality. I got one called Tyler versus CNN on conspiracy theories, quote. Jordan Peterson on the most terrifying IQ statistic, response. Wag the dog and war propaganda. Is media preparing American public for war against Russia? My university suspended me for reporting sexual assault. F-less analyst Nick Wright bashes Jason Tatum, claims he's not a superstar. UMass Amherst suspended me for standing with survivors. Chancellor Subaswamy worships rape culture. Wow, that's a liable statement right there. This one issue can cost conservatives the 2022 midterms. Okay, so I think what we're learning here is that I greatly underestimated how many videos I filmed while manic. Instead of 30, there's probably over 50. So in the event that this series I'm doing where I post these rants unfiltered, unedited, do well, I certainly have plenty of them to choose from. All right, let me come back to your comments. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure how many of you are still here. I don't blame you if you left, but I was just curious about those. Thank you, Tyler. My disassociation was mostly, maybe all, my CPTSD, not my autism. Okay. Yeah, I do appreciate you bringing up that question. It did reignite some memories. I kind of forgot about the simulation stuff that I had believed. It's only 8:33 and I'm yawning. I haven't slept well. I don't know if you could see it in my eyes. Kind of like, I think they're dilated, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me overthinking. Anybody got any particular plans for this weekend? I was considering going to church for the very first time in many years, if the sidewalks will permit, because they were blanketed in snow from a few winter storms the past couple weeks. But I'd really like to go, if possible. Church has always been very invigorating for me. What else am I planning on doing? I mean, aside from my steps, I'd like to get some reading in, maybe play some video games. I was planning on taking a mini break from the YouTube content just for a little bit. So I've been at it for about a week straight now, pumping out content constantly. And I just want to, give the videos some breathing room to actually, grow and see what people think about them. All right, let's see. That post-speech humor short that I posted is still doing really well. It's at 1,543 views now. It's gotten 102 in the last hour. I'll check the analytics of the stream real quick, and then I'll bring up another random topic for us to discuss. Oh, wow. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one I clicked. Whoops. My bad. There have been 66 chat messages on screen. I'm going to fix that real quick. Anyone tuning in, free to bring up anything. All right, because 66 is an unlucky number, so we're now at 67. Kenny says, I'm planning on buying myself a Coca-Cola and tomorrow to date with myself. Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with self-love. Where do you plan on getting a Coca-Cola and fries from? I'm curious. Are you thinking like a fast food place, or are you looking for like something from the market that you just make at home? Is there like a special place that makes really good fries where you are? McDonald's, there you go. I kind of figure that. McDonald's, man, they make the best fries by far. It's not a debate. If anyone here disagrees, you could leave. I'm kidding, but yeah, McDonald's fries are amazing. A great contributor to my present size as well. Thank you to anybody tuning in. Appreciate you being here. There's a lot that I'm excited for, to be honest, especially for this year, but also in the long term. One thing, I don't know if I brought this up on my channel yet, but I'm actually in the process of getting a new job, and it's paid by Medicaid. And the job would be, I would get paid to be a caretaker for my mom. I'm not going to go too extensive into like my mom's health issues. I'm not going to talk about any of that, but she does have some health problems and has had many health scares and requires extra help. And I found out about this opportunity where I could actually get paid to do things that I'm already doing for her. And that will be a huge help, alleviate a lot of stress, so allow me to still focus on my goals like YouTube, reading, writing, and getting my steps in. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I'm really excited about it. Of course, I have something really exciting coming up. My psychiatrist meeting, March. Hopefully I can get that medication refilled earlier than that. But if not, then I'm contemplating whether or not I should even go back on the thing. What else? There's the fact that I'm returning to college next fall, and I'm going to find balance. I'm not going to overwhelm myself. I'm going to do just 12 credits, but I might take a summer class to help prepare myself. I haven't decided fully on that yet, but it's something I've considered. Just take one 3 credit class to do over the course of summer to get closer to my degree. It would make me feel good about myself. It would augment my self-esteem and help move me in the right direction. But the ultimate goal is returning to school in the fall. I'm a communication major with a minor in pre-law, and I'm very close to finishing my undergrad degree. Then I'm going to take a 2-year gap period where hopefully I could accumulate some valuable work experience and get into a competitive law school. If you're just joining in, appreciate you being here. Welcome, everybody. If you're just tuning in, my name is Tyler. Oh, that's weird. It just jumped up like 3 viewers and then it disappeared right away. Oh, well, that's all right. If you haven't yet, if you're here, and please hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. So yeah, in the short term, I mean, I have returning to undergrad to look forward to. In the long run, going to law school, hopefully not getting myself too deep into debt. That will depend heavily on my law school admission test score. My GPA, I'm not worried about. I have a very good GPA. It like literally can't get much better than where it is. So I am grateful for the progress I've made since my manic episode. I gotta say that. I mean, there was a time when I thought I would never work again. I thought I would never go to school again, and I've done both of those things. And in the aftermath of such a tumultuous, chaotic episode, it truly felt like my life was over, like things would never get better. But it thankfully turned out to be wrong. With time as a healer, with diligence and commitment, taking gradual steps, small steps add up to become big steps, I was able to somewhat get back on my feet, and now I'm on a positive trajectory again. And I couldn't be more grateful. I'm grateful for my family standing by me during those moments of trial. I'm grateful for this community on YouTube that I built of more than 1,200 people and growing, who are empathetic and understanding and who see the value in the message I'm trying to spread, the insights I'm sharing about my mental health experiences to make other people feel less alone in their own respective journeys. I'm grateful to be alive. I mean, there's that staggering statistic with bipolar disorder. 20% of people diagnosed at some point successfully in their lives. And it's an incredibly tragic number. And there were multiple times where I was leaning in that direction. And I know my family wouldn't have been too happy if that had been the case. And I wouldn't have had this channel with, 470 plus videos, almost 100 of which are about bipolar disorder specifically. So diligence and commitment goes a long way. And, it just makes me think of that quote by President Calvin Coolidge. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. I've adhered to that quote since I was a junior in high school, and I found it applicable to many different life situations. Initially, it was about performing well in advanced placement courses, getting into the college of my choice, but it's been so universal. And since being diagnosed with bipolar type 1, I've applied it to the daily management of my mental illness. And I've applied it to the routines I've constructed in order to mitigate the symptoms of my illness. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. Well, I'm grateful for that quote. I'm grateful for the small wins that I experience every single day, the simple things. We often don't assign any credit to them, but when you're going through a challenging time and getting out of bed, that's a win. And we don't give ourselves credit for it. If you want to build momentum, you have to give yourself credit for the wins that you have. They accumulate. They don't just add up, but they compound. And eventually you'll get into a state which author James Clear referred to as automaticity, a flow state, where those routines become so natural and you don't even have to think about doing them. You just do it. Oh, man, I am so tired. I found this, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure who's still here. It says there's just two people now, but this pendant, when I was manic, I found this pendant on the ground. This is the Eye of Horus. It has all kinds of meanings, symbolic meanings. It's not an evil thing, but I just found it interesting that I discovered it while I was in a manic state. I'll be right back, y'all. I'm going to go get a drink because my soda is out. If you're not here when I come back, that's okay. I appreciate you being here and tuning in. But yeah, I'm going to take a quick, I don't know, let's see. I'm going to take a quick 15-minute break. I'll be back at 9. So I was streaming for 2.5 hours now, and I don't want my legs to continue to be sleeping in. But thank you. I'll be right back, y'all, and maybe I'll react to one of the videos I filmed while manic when I come back. I'll post that. Taking a break for 15 minutes. I will return at 9 p.m. EST. If there's any interest. I'm back. Anybody still here? It's alright if not. I understand. Came back a little bit early. Just got a little bit bored. I just wanted to grab a drink and a quick bite to eat. Had 2 of those little mini White Castle burgers, a cup of apple juice, and now I got my Yahoo. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm going to test something real quick. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining in, I'm just trying to figure out how to screen share real quick. I have to get my settings properly set up so we can look at some videos I filmed while manic that I have privated on my channel. All right, this might end the stream from what I'm reading. I'm trying to screen share and it says share your screen, open settings. I don't know. I'm going to try it. If this ends the stream, I apologize that it ends on this note, but I'll likely do another stream sometime this weekend. Hope to see you all there. Greatly appreciate everybody who tuned in. I'm saying this in case the stream ends. I might keep going, but love, light, and tranquility to all. Alrighty, we are back in business, people. Now let's see if it will let me screen share. All right, let's see. This site will be able to see the contents of your screen. Allow. Select a tab to share. How do you do this? All right, let me pull up. Manage videos. If you're just tuning in, I'm going to screen share in just a moment. Getting ready a video of me rapping at a talent show. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. It got first place, but I don't know, I just thought this would be pretty cool to share. So let's get right into it. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it's screen sharing though. It's the only thing. Can you guys see anything or? If somebody's here, could you just let me know if you could see my screen? I'd appreciate it. I think it's all square. Oh well, if not, then lessons learned. This is my performance at the UMass Talent Show. It's my first place performance. It was performed on May 4th, 2021. Let's get right into it, folks. I just want to check screen, make sure you're caught up here in full screen mode. You are. And make sure. Okay.
Tyler Michael DeFreitas, Cleveland Adolfo III. It's an honor to be here in Southwest for a few words. I can't believe it's already May 1st. This semester has felt like a blur with words. I'm a connoisseur. The semester's coming to a close, but best believe there's always more to be learned. But before we take that turn, I want to make crystal clear.
Check my phone.
I'm not here to talk about the birds and the bees or do on the mic what Tatum does on the court every night and go on a murder and spree, break these, but verbally. Oh! Who watched the game last night? He dropped 60 with such ease. The final exams are coming up. The times are tough, but I want you all to remember that at UMass, we are tasked to be revolutionary. Best dining in the country, Burke over there to fuel us up for the study grind. We champions on the daily. Woo! I understand that the burden of adhering to high standards is hard to carry. I get it, it gets heavy, but y'all got Kobe mentality. You're the antithesis of lazy. And yo, no amount of obstacles could ever undermine our ready minds. We always ready for overtime. You can't assign our lives as numbers on a line because our drive has an absolute value of infinity. This is Southwest. Work hard, play hard to the best of our ability. I say what I mean and mean what I say. That's authenticity. We out here strengthening connections and forming new ones. That's neuroplasticity. Diligence, commitment, and persistence, that's my holy trinity. Yo, when I got accepted to UMass, I was OD, baby, of happiness and serendipity, all the problems of the past. Forgot about that.
It's crazy to me how long I've continued that particular rhyme for. Neuroplasticity, infinitesimally, like, I'm tooting my own horn here. Here we go again, but some context behind this. I was in the UMass dining hall. It was kind of the end of the semester. There were still exams coming up for students, including myself. And it was advertised that there was going to be a talent show hosted by UMass Dining, and you could do whatever talent you want. So I decided to write an original monologue that was designed to inspire the audience. And about 40 of my fraternity brothers from Gamma Delta Kappa Sigma showed up and cheered me on from the crowd. You see a lot of them up front there. Some of them are in the back. The one filming is actually a Kappa Sigma brother. But yeah, I'll get right into it. Let's finish up this video.
It came infinitesimally, but yo, I'll be the first one to say I've made a lot of mistakes. But at the end of the day, life is not a sprint. Life is a highway. And I want you to know, never give up. I promise you'll find a way to cast the haters away and keep the problems at bay. Watch the negative self-talk start to abate. And before you know it, you'll be jamming out like you Michael Jordan in space. I'm from the town of Webster, named after Daniel Webster. Always ready to go, I'm clever. Always ready to roll. It's part of my character. Wherever there's a spotlight or stage, I appear out of nowhere. Like I'm a secret Mortal Kombat character. But hey, if there's one thing I've come to learn, it's that there's a thing called perfect. And I mustn't. This is probably one of my favorite sections of the monologue coming up. I won't spoil everything, but I talk about how I was a high school dropout and how I came back. And people found it pretty inspiring. People told me afterwards that they really enjoyed this particular part. I'm not it. My accomplishments came after failing. They are the product of my grit. There's no denying it. At just 1/3 of my peak, I was a beast. I was low-key feeling legit. But hold on. Take a few steps. Bring it back. Take a look at the past. Because you see, I'm about to speak some facts. June 7th, 2019, I became the first person in my family to have graduated.
Generation.
But before that, I was a high school dropout for 2 years. I was about to lose my patience, but then orchestrating my comeback became my #1 vocation, and now I'm living it up at the number 24 public university in the nation. You see, it was my trials and tribulations that gave me the drive to earn the right to be at this location. There were so many moments where I straight up could have gave up and take up actions that ensure I never wake up, but I played tough, raised up, chin up. Instill the traits of diligence and commitment into my genetic makeup. I've come a long way, I must say. I got time to rest, but then the inner beast starts talking. Too busy chasing after my dreams like I'm sleepwalking. But yo, then I got one last thing to say. A book about my story came out just yesterday, and I want you to know that it's not about where you've been, it's all about where you're going. Yo, Southwest, that's what I call turning the page. Thank you.
All right, so that was my performance at the University of Massachusetts Amherst Talent Show in 2021. Hope you enjoyed that. Looks like y'all were able to see the screen. Glad to see that. Kenny says, "Go Slim Shady." Thank you, Kenny. That's Too kind right there. I appreciate it. I haven't exactly been compared to Eminem before, so that's quite impressive. One last thing that I'll share is actually this bottom video here, saving the post office public speaking class final speech. This was for my public speaking class, as it says, and we had to craft either a presentation or a speech. And this was during COVID lockdown. So I set up my laptop and I gave a speech about saving the post office. I'll just play like the first 2 minutes of it. I think the opening line is pretty funny and you'll get a good kick out.
Republican leadership, Democrat leadership, and the United States Postal Service. One of these things has an approval rating of 91%. The other two are less popular than cockroaches, traffic jams, and toenail fungus.
True statistic, by the way, in case you're wondering.
With the world on lockdown in response to the deadly and rampant coronavirus, millions of people are relying on mail carriers to obtain their medications and other vital goods. However, the only mail carrier with the logistical infrastructure necessary to execute efficient mail delivery to every address in the country is about to become insolvent. Allowing the Postal Service to collapse during a historically unprecedented global pandemic would be a massive failure of action that could potentially disenfranchise millions of vulnerable Americans with an election right around the corner. In the coming weeks and months, an avalanche of arguments will be made against the Postal Service and against saving it. I am going to respond to these arguments directly and tell you exactly what we can do to avert this catastrophe. Critics will contend that the post office is in its current financial dilemma because of its own poor fiscal management. Why should we save them? But this leaves out some crucial context. George Orwell once wrote, "The most powerful form of lie is omission." When proponents of privatization tell you a story, I want you to remember these facts. First, the Postal Service is financially autonomous and constitutionally ordained. By definition, it cannot be a waste of taxpayer dollars because it is not funded by the federal government. Its funds are raised entirely through the services it provides. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7 of the U.S. Constitution grants Congress the power to establish post offices and post.
All right, I went a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I just thought I would share a little bit of that. Interesting speech. And it has more views than I expected it to get. I mean, yeah, 442 views in 5 years. I'll take it. It got a lot, like when it was initially uploaded, because at the time there were a lot of people calling to save the post office. They were calling for that action to take place. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. And what do you all think? Do you think that I'm capable of being a politician based on what you've seen? I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that. But all right, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. And we are back here. getting ready to wrap this up, folks. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. We talked about a wide, eclectic range of topics during this stream and thought we had an engaging, productive, intriguing conversation. It means a lot to me, all the support y'all have shown on the videos. And I will be doing another stream this weekend, most likely. We'll see. I wanted to go a little bit longer in this one, but I said earlier, if there's not really anyone here toward the end, then I'm going to kind of dip out. And there's always a future opportunity to go live. And so that's exactly what I intend to do. So goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Never surrender hope. And as always, love, light, and tranquility to all.